Pretty sure.
Yeah.
Oh, gotta get their fast shot.
Yeah.
Gotta get their fast shot.
Hello Britball Nation and welcome to the Double Coverage YouTube channel. We've been reliably informed that on the weekend some of the Britball Nation actually do something other than pay attention to our manic live coverage of each and every Britball game. Little things like working, supporting or even playing in the actual games themselves all rather inconveniently get in the way of keeping yourself up to speed with the results and ramifications from across the nation. Never fear, DC is here with a scoop of the important bits from the past weekend. This weekend, Britball got underway Saturday morning as we headed to the third and final qualifying round of the 2016 Opal Series. The 19 teams headed to Sheffield and Portsmouth for the North and South tournaments respectively. With more than half the teams still capable of securing a playoff berth, it was all to play for, and indeed neither tournament disappointed with teams rising and falling in the rankings, and some playoff favourites going close to missing out entirely. Looking to the Opal North, the story of the day was thought to be which two of the other 6 programmes in the running would be joining the pair of Coventry Cougars teams that looked sure to be headed to the postseason, but the North certainly found a way to make things interesting. As expected, the Cougars seniors, so dominant all series so far, continued that trend, finishing the season undefeated and with a nearly plus 500 point differential. However, they weren't the only Northern programme to go undefeated on Saturday, with both the Hallam Warriors and Teesside Cougars also taking 3 wins out of 3 on the day, most notably each of them taking a win away from the Cougars juniors, which meant that the young Cougars, who had sat in the number 2 spot since day 1 of the season, suddenly found themselves in a must-win game against a gotten hot Nottingham side who had just dispatched both the Manchester Titans and East Kilbride Pirates and could yet steal a playoff berth. The Cougars did what needed to be done, though they slide from the number 2 spot in the North to number 4, leaving the final rankings as such. To the Opal South, and we saw a similar situation with the conference leaders, the Northants Titans, keeping their perfect record, though the Pink Panthers certainly made them work for it. The 14-0 loss to the Titans was just the first of 2 losses on the day for the Panthers, who came into the day perfect but also fell short against the Warwick Wolverines, who now move into the number 2 slot. With only 5 teams capable of earning a playoff berth, the Iceni Spears came within a point of stealing the number 4 spot, but fell just short, losing out 6-7 to the Portsmouth Dreadnought, and meaning our final rankings are as follows. In the Opal, all teams head to the postseason to play for ranking, but only the top 4 teams from each conference head to the playoffs for the Opal Series Championship. Taking the 2 conferences and combining them, we believe the playoff and postseason standings will look something like this, with the first round of playoffs seeing the Cougars Seniors taking on Portsmouth, Northants Titans taking on the Young Cougars, Hallam against the Pink Panthers, and finally the Warwick Wolves against the Teesside Steelers. It's essentially win to stay in, and there should be some great matchups from across these top performers. As to the postseason ranking game, the Sandwell Steelers have sadly withdrawn, leaving 10 teams competing to be ranked 9 through to 18. Precisely how this will work, we're not sure, but we suspect maybe involving a couple of groups. Moving on to the Bucks fixtures, and the first thing to talk about is a number of games that we lost this weekend, with nearly a third of the scheduled fixtures being called off for one reason or another. Storm Angus accounted for 1 game being rained off on Sunday morning, and our Rose Bowl preview was similarly lost to a waterlogged pitch. AIU Essex was pushed back while the Rhinos wait for Rhino to send them their amended jerseys, and a new one on us here at DC, the Westminster Dragons delayed their season kicking off due to lack of healthy players before their first game of the year. Finally, on the day itself, we lost 2 fixtures from both the top and bottom of the league due to a lack of medical cover. The NTU Renegades saw their fixture against Power Rankings top in Derby fall flat despite their best efforts due to an ambulance breaking down on the way to the game, while the Pyros Predators fixture was initially delayed and then called off after the medical cover overlooked the booking and then couldn't make it to the game in time due to an accident on the entrance road to the fixture. These things happen every season, but it's got to raise concerns when 5 of the 13 fixtures in the bottom tier are pulled in 1 week, and we hate to say it, but it kind of justifies the move to a 6-game season for the bottom rung of the league. Once week 3 actually did get underway, we at least were treated to some cracking matchups. The weekend kicked off on Saturday when Hallam and New Clan went head to head, with DC looking to finally be able to separate the 2 in our power rankings. This pair of teams kind of justified our indecision as this one came right down to the wire. Rams quarterback Adam Bamber gave UClan the lead going into the half, but crucially, Hallam's Matt Colfer blocked the point after. So when Dutch Stevenson apparently found Ronald Daly-Thomas in the end zone, David Griffith's successful PAT turned out to be a game winner. We say apparently as this turned out to be a rather controversial call, with the UClan sideline claiming the ball clearly hit the turf. And indeed this still from the game would seem to back their claim. Combined with a block punt that was taken for a touchdown by the Rams but then called back for offsides with a minute left on the clock, it was obviously a gut-wrenching loss for the Rams, but set up a tasty looking grudge match for the second leg. Our only Prem North fixture never got underway, while in the Prem South, Hearts made a statement with a dominant 20-0 win over the Lion-killing Bees, who have now gone 3 straight games without a single offensive touchdown. That said, how many teams open their season with 3 games against 2 of the most successful programs in Uniball history? To Division 1 and alongside the U-Clan Hallen game, the Northwest also saw the Sabres welcome their recently promoted Manchester Tyrants, and their impressive 32-point bullying of the Tyrants sets up a tasty looking steel ball preview next weekend as the Sabres take on their crosstown rivals, the Warriors, for the first time this season. In the North, the Hull Sharks justified their sexy pick status as they built momentum as their game went on. Following an initially slow start against the Spartans, the Sharks defense kicked up the scoring with a pick six courtesy of George Horsley. From there, Folds and the offense found their groove and began piling up the points on a Spartans team that started the season looking formidable, holding the Glasgow Tigers to a single score. In the Midlands, the Fury made their case for remaining in Division 1 with a decisive second half performance against the Worcester Royals. Holding only a narrow 13-12 lead at the half, the Liverpool team took control in the second half, and now the Royals will be eyeing their Week 5 fixture against Staffordshire as their best shot at avoiding potential demotion this season. Heading south, and the Demons look to be staking a claim as the number 2 team in the southwest with a confident win away at Oxford. Exeter came into the game missing some key starters on offense, and things only seemed to get worse when they lost their other starting running back, Lewis Chai, on his first carry. Fourth string runner Oscar Wignall put the team on his back in his first game for the Demons and ground out the yards to allow Exeter to utterly dominate the time of possession, though quarterback Cam Wilkinson and Aussie wideout Matt Owen stole all the glory with 3 passing touchdowns. With the Demons running the Cobras close and the Cobras seemingly running away with the conference even at this early point in the season, expect to see the Demons edging their way into our power rankings. And we're finally starting to see some separation in the 1A South East, more or less. Cambridge and the Kent Falcons took it right down to the wire, the Pythons edging their way to 2-0 with a 1-point victory over Kent, and the UEA Pirates never really got into sail against the Imperial Immortals, which, actually, seeing that the Falcons and the Imperials went to overtime and the Falcons and Pythons were only a point apart, we could make an argument for a 3-way tie in the power rankings here. We'll have to wait and see. Down to Division 2, and obviously the Borders Conference lost both of its fixtures to rain and lack of ambulances, and the South East lost theirs to not having the right jerseys and having too many injuries before the season's even started. So we need only visit 4 of the 6 conferences in the bottom tier. Bangor continued to justify our pre-season faith in them, having few problems taking a 35-0 win away from their trip to the Kiel Crusaders. Bangor continued to find ways to score through both the air and on the ground, and with a second straight shutout looked confident at the top of the 2A North. However, they were far from the only northern side to put in a dominant performance in Week 3, and in fact signs seemed to point towards the conference having a clear split between the contenders and the rest. Bradford came into their second fixture off the back of a comfortable enough looking win over Kiel, but seemed to travel rather light on Sunday, like Iron Manning it on every play, light. Even with Bradford missing key players across the field, it's apparent that the Raptors outperformed the Bears in every phase of the game. Running back Jimmy Sutherland outpaced the Bears D all day long, while quarterback Callum Harris made the Bears look a bit pooish, fooling them with misdirection and trucking a defensive back on one trip to the end zone. Running out of players and willpower, the Bears decided to call it at the half. Finally in the conference, 2 new teams to the league, if only in name in the case of the Griffins, got their seasons underway on Sunday, and it was a rude welcome to the league for the Chester Legion. With the 2 other rookie outfits this year getting their seasons onto such strong starts, there was a high bar set for the young Legion program, but going up against the rebranded and seemingly reignited Leeds Griffins team is clearly too much to ask of the young team. The upgraded facilities and commitment from the Leeds side are clearly paying dividend, as even against the rookie outfit, thanks to the running clock, it's no longer easy to get a 50 burger in Britball, but the Griffins put in the work and pulled one out for us. Certainly a learning experience for the Legion, and a statement from the former Celtics that they're making the most of this fresh start. In the Midlands, we had a nail-biter in Huddersfield as the 2 sides went scoreless into overtime. There were fears the game might actually never reach a conclusion, as neither side had really threatened one another's end zone through 60 minutes of regulation, and in the Uniball rules, overtime keeps going until someone scores. There are no draws unless the game gets called. However, luckily for those involved, though perhaps less so the Hawks, the Longhorns finally found pay dirt in their first overtime possession to steal the win and move to 1-1. Elsewhere in the conference, we told the Colonials that we were looking for a bit more from them after their Week 2 victory over Leicester, and the Lincoln side clearly heard and answered the call on Sunday. Despite the 2 sides running one another close last year and some marquee additions to the Nemesis, the Northampton side only stopped the Colonials scoring on a single drive in the entire first half. Going into the break 35-0 up, our burger chef was obviously somewhat disappointed, but the game closed out only 42-0 thanks to the running clock. In the south, the City Sentinels followed up a narrow Week 2 loss to Southampton by getting thumped 20-0 by the BNU Buccaneers. The Bucks naturally took this win in stride, but certainly the scoreline does throw even more confusion into a conference where so far the most dominant program are the brand new UCL Emperors. And finally, we close our week with a trip to the southwest, where the Gladiators made short work of a Toronto Aberystwyth side which took its second beating in as many weeks, this time from a revamped Gladiators offense, Hodges and the jet sweep continuing to punish opponents who can't seem to figure out how to contain the Gladiators' ground game. However, once again, personnel rotation and the running clock held the Gladiators shy of a 50 burger. We're thinking we're going to have to start incentivising these big scorelines. And last but by no means least, the Bath-Spa Bulldogs will be disappointed with an 8-24 loss to the Bournemouth Bobcats, but will likely be even more disappointed with the controversy spinning out of this fixture when a Bulldogs coach wandered his way into the Bournemouth coaching area with a whiteboard. It seems ultimately that it may have been a mixture of naivety and boneheadedness on the part of the Bulldogs assistant, who had been directed to check on a defensive alignment and apparently decided the best place to do this from was the raised verge on the opposing sideline. We don't think we're quite looking at a Carnegie-esque Spygate, though Judge Saul may yet choose to prosecute. So there we have it, week 3 of Britball in the bank and the Opal series ready to head to playoffs. Do you think we missed anything out, nation? Well, if we did, we'll only know if you tell us in the comments down below. Remember, to get your game highlights featured in our content, all you have to do is get in touch. We're hopefully going to sort some simple methods of film transfer moving forwards, but ultimately if you want your game-changing plays out there for the whole Britball Nation and beyond to be inspired by, simply get in touch with us and we'll figure out a way to put your big plays on our big screen. Our goal at Double Coverage moving forwards is the growth of the game, by making sure that people know we're playing it and by letting them know that American football is available across the length and breadth of the United Kingdom. But we can only do that so long as we all work towards that goal and realise there's so much more to be gained by putting ourselves out there and ensuring that our content, that our contact information and that our community, the Britball Nation, are as accessible as possible to as many people as possible. All that said, please remember to like this video, it really helps us out in reaching a wider audience, and if you haven't already done so, subscribe. In the meantime, play hard, play safe, and go check out staff writer Gareth Thomas's opinion piece on the prospect of a London franchise.